Ashley Eckstein has a message to all Star Wars fans before the upcoming Ahsoka series. She encourages everyone to watch the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels. We are so close to the highly anticipated Dave Filoni series, we're just over a month away. And in a new interview with Cinema Blend, Eckstein reveals why she's so excited about the series, but she hopes fans are going to watch the animated shows first. And there are some who never gave them a chance, but here's what she said. I highly recommend that you take the time to watch Clone Wars and watch Star Wars Rebels, and even Star Wars Tales of the Jedi, because if you don't, you're going to miss on crucial backstory. And this is in the same vein as what Bryce Dallas Howard said when she talks about big payoffs for Clone Wars fans. Ashley adds, quote, we're gonna get so many new and incredible stories, but without that backstory and full understanding of who Ahsoka is, and even who other characters are, you're not going to have as rich or in-depth of an understanding and appreciation of what's going to happen. And I feel like the character Ashley Eckstein is talking about specifically in the Clone Wars, aside from Ahsoka and maybe Anakin, is Huyang. Huyang is as old as the Jedi texts on Ahch-To. He is ancient. David Tennant is returning to voice him, but this time in live action. Now Huyang's importance in this show, aside from being Ahsoka's companion, could be a connecting point to the Jedi Order, the one Ahsoka left behind. Now while so far we've only seen Huyang's use in terms of keeping records of the Jedi to help younglings create lightsabers, Star Wars Ahsoka could see him serving as a point of contact with the Jedi Order of old, and as a chronicler of the Jedi's journey from their earliest beginnings, this could give Ahsoka a useful guide in her journey to better understand her place in the galaxy. The Jedi Order has long fallen, and Ahsoka walked away a long time ago, but her journey's not done yet. I don't think it's random that Dave Filoni chose to bring him back. Could we see some of those younglings now all grown up? Or maybe Huyang could help teach a whole new generation, maybe Jason Syndulla. So while we've had a lot of people on the show say this series is going to be understandable to all casual fans and those who've not seen the animated stuff, Ashley is saying it's definitely a perk. In other Star Wars news, Christopher Nolan, Inception, Oppenheimer, The Dark Knight, has declined to comment on if he would ever direct a Star Wars film. He's always been a big fan of George Lucas and groundbreaking visual effects in the cinema industry, but now he doesn't want to say if he would ever consider making a film in the galaxy far, far away, if he'd ever take on a Star Wars project. Now a lot of fans were saying he's too creative and too independent and autonomous, that if he ever took on a Star Wars film, it would be watered down and he would not have full creative control. We've seen this time and time again, and it's why Tony Gilroy's Andor is such an exception. He was given full creative reign, which is super rare for a project like that. Internal restructuring is signature at Disney and Lucasfilm, and they would never let Christopher Nolan unveil his pure creative freedom. On the other hand, if he were to be given full creative control, this film could be incredible. What do you guys think? Would you ever want to see a Christopher Nolan Star Wars movie? Let me know down below. And so now, on to something different. Despite the recent cuts that Bob Iger announced for both Marvel and Star Wars, I think they should continue Star Wars animated content, and it seems like they have no plans to stop. As I mentioned the other day, the next batch of episodes for the High Republic series Young Jedi Adventures releases near the start of August, and the director reported this breaks all episode count records for previous shows. A new press release for Lucasfilm brags that the Young Jedi Adventures series is going to have 25 episodes in Season 1. The previously held record were the first 4 seasons of the Clone Wars with 22 episodes each, but Young Jedi Adventures has 25 in total. And this could indicate proof of a shift in focus teased by Kathleen Kennedy to give us more High Republic after Young Jedi Adventures and The Acolyte. But in other Star Wars animation, aside from Tales of the Jedi Season 2 and The Bad Batch Season 3, I don't want them to stop the legacy of the Clone Wars shows. I want there to be another spin-off after Bad Batch 3. I've also seen a lot of talk in the fandom about a What If series, and if they're trying to save money, they can do this in animation. It'd be so much cheaper than live action. This is a sentiment and a fan wish Hayden Christensen recently echoed, and in animation, the sky is the limit. I've always said, in lieu of the very expensive deepfakes for Luke, Han and Leia, if they want to explore the classic trio after Return of the Jedi, they should do this in a 3D animated show, in the same style as the Clone Wars. I think fans would love that kind of thing. And they could play it a bit looser with canon, integrating elements of Star Wars Legends as well. By every single metric, animation is doing really well as a medium, especially for big franchises, particularly when you have a good story to tell. What do you guys think? And so now, some more updates from the galaxy far, far away. As we approach Star Wars Ahsoka, Rosario Dawson and the rest of the cast of the show have been doing press. We covered some comments from Empire Magazine, SFX, and now Rosario Dawson opened up about Dave Filoni's film, the one that's supposed to drop in 2026, the second film of that year after the Rey movie. We don't know if that's going to happen though because of the strikes, due to a lot of unforeseen circumstances, so we don't know when that film is going to come out and when it's going to start production. But in terms of that movie, we know it's being marketed as a climactic event regarding The Mandalorian and its related shows. Now, we speculated in depth as to what the story might be. We know it's going to continue the story of the Ahsoka show. There's almost no doubt Grand Admiral Thrawn is going to be the big bad. And this is not the first time Rosario Dawson has opened up about that movie, about what it could entail, but at this stage, very few people know. Now, as I say, Dave Filoni himself has said this movie's going to be a culmination, and now here is what Rosario says about it. "I'm just so happy he got it. I'm just super stoked for him because it could not happen to a better person. He's so talented and remarkable and awesome, and I love him. Whether I'm in it or not, I hope I'm invited to set regardless." And then Dave Filoni makes a very interesting remark, something a lot of fans have echoed in the past, that the TV shows are great, but they're the small stories. They do not compare to the big ones on the big screen. He talks about Star Wars events, back during the days where getting a new Star Wars film was an absolute rarity, one to be celebrated, what he calls a huge event, and he wants his film to be the same thing. Here's what he said: "To me, a theatrical experience has to be a big idea, a monumental moment in a time period that changes what's happening. What Tony's done with Andor and what we did in Star Wars Rebels, everything then changes. When Luke blows up the Death Star, you're looking for those moments that define an era, and that's what the film should be about, whether it's characters coming together or a defining moment." So in the same way he compares Andor being the build-up to A New Hope, he wants his TV shows Star Wars Rebels and Ahsoka and I guess The Mandalorian to be the build-up to what the big film is going to be about, which I believe is going to be a big battle between the Imperial Remnant and the New Republic. When Carl Weathers, who plays Grief Karga, was asked about the film and whether or not we can see his Mandalorian character in it, he said, quote, "I would not want to bother Dave Filoni with that, and it's simple, who wants to be rejected?" And in the same vein, various actors have come out and said what they think about the film, and what they think the chances are that their characters are going to feature. So we spoke about Rosario Dawson, we spoke about Carl Weathers, but what about Natasha Liu Bordizzo? Well, I did cover this a bit recently. She said she's not heard a single thing, and Katie Sackhoff says the following: "If my phone rings, great. If not, they know how much we all want to be part of it." And that's so true. If you've been in the Mandoverse, whether you're Tamora Morrison and you played Boba Fett, maybe Captain Rex and Ahsoka, let's wait and see. If you're Pedro Pascal, or should I say Brendan Wayne and Lateef Crowder as well, then of course Din Djarin is probably going to feature in it too. I think Grogu as well is a given, and you would expect the main heroes of all of those shows to feature. As for Harrison Jula and Sabine Wren and the kind of extended Rebels crew, but hopefully this is one of the films that does not get cancelled. I really want this big crossover event to be on the big screen, because going into that film watching these shows for all these years, it feels like we've done our homework. And then all of us who've read the Zahn books, if you read them back in the 90s when they came out. So imagine doing all of that, watching all the shows, and then for the first time you get to see those characters on the big screen. That's going to be a fan dream for so many of us. All these beloved characters we've been watching on our little devices. Whether you watch it on your phone or your laptop or your iPad, even on your TV, it doesn't compare to the big sound, the incredible experience of the theatre. Now there is a rumour, a wild rumour that's been going round, that Princess Leia is going to appear in the Ahsoka show. This, and I must reiterate, is an unverified rumour. And you know what, I wouldn't even be surprised. And I think if they're not going to use Billie Lourd, they might just do what they did with Indiana Jones in The Dial of Destiny. Just kind of de-age her using that technology. And I presume, since they've already spent the money to do Harrison Ford's Indiana Jones, they're probably going to use his likeness for Han Solo, if they have no intention to do Alden Ehrenreich, because Kathleen Kennedy did throw Alden under the bus, and she said recasting is not a good idea. So don't be surprised if we see the original trio in that movie. I think the Ahsoka show as well, if they're going to show us the first time she meets Luke. But from the final trailer, it seems evident to me they've already got so much going on. They don't need to over-egg the pudding with the kind of stuff they're putting in the show. It's why I said I'm not too bothered if they don't have as many cameos as some fans are hoping for. Let's wait and see. Share your thoughts on everything we spoke about in today's video. If you enjoyed this one, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up. And I'll see you in the next one. May the Force be with you, always.